Izvolite, izvolite. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the EU Info Center, which serves as a communication hub of the European Union in Serbia. We are delighted that we are your hosts today to go through the presentation of a huge possibility and opportunity for the Serbian artists to participate in the European Investment Bank's Institute interesting program, which is of a regional character, and details about the way you may apply and deadlines you'll get a little bit later. I'm delighted to welcome today our guests. It is Ms. Plamena Halacheva, Deputy Head of the Delegation of the EU Delegation to the Republic of Serbia, Alessandro Bregonzi, Head of the Regional Office of the European Investment Bank in Serbia, and Dafni Munro, representative of the European Investment Bank Institute from Luxembourg. Dear guests, welcome. On behalf of EU Info Center, I would like to encourage you to have as many questions as possible and to carefully go through the presentation. We believe that while we are working on promoting opportunities that EU gives to Serbia, this is also one of them, opportunities for artists to not only get some funds, but to get some more opportunities to be bigger than they are at the moment. Have an interesting discussion and enjoy our premises. Thank you. Yeah. I would kindly ask Ms. Halacheva to address you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Surgeon. Dear Delphine, dear Alessandro, dear artists, guests and colleagues, dobar dan svima. It's a great pleasure to be here today with you to launch the scope of applications for the 2023 Artists Development Program. It's, we believe, a really fantastic initiative that will support and nurture emerging artists at this region to create and to pursue their creative pursuits. This program will give young artists an outstanding opportunity to grow professionally through the support of established artists and in their field of interest. Mentors will guide them through the creative process, help them to develop further their skills and their vision, and push them to move even further the artistic boundaries. Moreover, the program will provide young artists with all the necessary materials and facilities to bring their ambition and their ambitious creations into life. And this is not happening just anywhere, but it's happening in the very city of art in Paris, which, as you know, has inspired countless artists from around the world, from the Impressionists to the Surrealists. Paris has been the source of creativity, and to this day it remains a home of a thriving artistic community. The City of Art, it continues to exert a strong pull on many aspiring artists who seek inspiration from its multiple artistic sources, including some of the world's most prestigious galleries and museums. But this artist development program is so much more than just creating in this beautiful city. It's about building upon and strengthening the creative and artistic links which do make us Europeans. European art and culture is a distinction, but it's also a common ground. And I believe there is a bit of a misconception. We all have this cliche ideas about the solitary artist who is working in isolation. But art is, above all, a communal activity. It's, above all, a form of dialogue, a communication. Dialogue between a work of art and its audience, but also between artists themselves. It's about building bridges, growing and learning from our differences, and create the space for creativity in the spaces between these differences. And I believe this program is exactly about this. So my sincere gratitude goes to the colleagues from the EAB for partners, artists who have made this program possible. I very much look forward to witnessing the inspiring work which will come out as a result of this program, and to celebrate the achievements of your achievements, of many of the artists that will be successful in this program. In the meantime, you can continue to count on our continued support to the creative industry in Serbia, including through Serbia's participation in the Creative Europe program. As you may know, since 2014, 12 million euros have been endowed to the creative industry of Serbia to facilitate creation, but also the building of and strengthening of partnership with EU-based artists. We support organizations and spaces that act as platforms for promoting the work of local artists. And awarding Novi Sad the European Capital of Culture did contribute to the international promotion of Serbian creative sectors. So, as I said, I'm very excited by this opportunity. Thanks once again to our colleagues in the EAB for this fantastic opportunity. I do encourage you to take advantage of it, and wishing you best of luck in your applications. Thank you very much. Flo. It works. You can have two.
One is enough, I think. Oops, that's. Apologies for that. Should be stable. So, dear Plamena, dear Delphine, dear surgeon, thank you again for the introduction, and distinguished guests. I will not spend too many words, because I think we want to all hear from Delphine about the details and the importance of this program and the possibility that open up to you. Allow me just to say a few words about us and a bit of thanking, of course, the colleagues. So, as the head of the regional representation for the Western Balkan for the European Investment Bank, which is the Bank of the European Union, we of course are proud and delighted to support this event from the IB Institute, which is part of the IB Group. I would like, of course, to also thank your delegation and EU Info Center colleagues that helped us to present this excellent opportunity. We are very proud to be able to support not only financing of projects, but also cultural opportunities that encourage human development, art and creativity, which are the reflection of social and intellectual progress of every country. Young and talented people are a driving force behind progress, and the IB Institute, which is part of the group, as I said, fosters cultural, social, artistic, and innovation potentials. Just let me underline that the Artist Development Program has been opened up for the first time to the enlargement countries, as you will hear it now. And we wish to continue with this kind of initiative more often going forward. In terms of European Investment Bank, as Plamena was saying on EU support, I would like to underline that throughout the years and under our branch, the EIB Global, we have invested 415 million euros in the education, research and development sectors in Serbia, thus contributing to better working and learning conditions for the generation of students and professors. We have achieved this in collaboration with colleagues of the EU delegation, but also local partners that recognize the importance of increasing educational capacity while exchanging know-how and best European practices. As Plamena was saying, we wish you all success in the application process and in your future career. It is then my great pleasure to welcome Dafni Munro, Head of Arts and Culture of the EIB Institute, who will speak about this program. And Dafni, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Plamena, for the introduction, and for Alessandro as well. And you're touching, both of you, on very interesting topics, which I will bounce on in my presentation. So, sorry, we're just switching. And I would say hello, because the presentation is live streamed in Novi Sad and other cities also in Serbia. So we're very happy to see you here, and also remotely, and I believe Albania as well. So I'm very happy to be able to address people here in the room and as well as virtually. So maybe just a few words of introduction about the Artist Development Program. So as you were saying, both of you, actually it's both a residency and a mentoring scheme, which is quite unique. You have lots of residency opportunities, but very few and far between do you have the opportunity to be mentored by an established artist at the same time. The idea behind the Artist Development Program, we call it ADP to be quicker, is to scout, to identify talent, and then to provide support to this talent. I created this program 11 years ago, and it was after a gap analysis where we realized that there was a large accelerating platform needed to be created between the time that artists graduate from art school and the time they actually make it in the institutional or the commercial art world. And this is where we want to step in, to really foster creativity and be able to help the emergence of talent. We provide, as I said, support more upstream. The EIB has an art collection which encompasses some 1,000 artworks, mainly contemporary, but we also have what we call a historical collection with about 130 some old masters, but mainly modern and post-impressionist artworks. You were referring to Impressionism and Paris as the capital at that point for the arts. And the main point of our collection is contemporary art. But to go even more upstream in the fostering of emerging talent, we created the Artist Development Program. So the idea for the artist is that they can not only develop their portfolio during the residency, and we will help financially, but also technically, we will provide support, but also we want to help them be free of any material constraints while they can really think about their career going forward. And we will provide the mentoring by an artist, but also by my team and I, very regularly to help them actually position themselves commercially and institutionally. We then organize an exhibition, we organize publications, and you have upstairs a small book called 18, which is about the first 18 artists we had in residence. Number 2, called 16, is coming out in about 2 months' time. We're actually putting the final touches to it. So we have had 34 artists in residence so far. So this, 2022 was the 10th anniversary. We've had for these 34 artists over almost 2,280 applications. Lately, for the past year, we had between 200 and 300 applications, so depending on the years. 34 artists stemming from the European Union, and also 1 Turkish artist, and last year 1 Ukrainian artist participated. And always, as I said before, under the mentorship of an established artist. So you have here the list of artists who mentored. So Miroslav Balka from Poland, extremely famous conceptual artist. Dan Almond from the UK, who is a videast, photographer and installation artist. Callum Innes from Scotland, painter, so is the only traditional, not in the way, using the traditional medium of painting, but in a very disruptive way. Jorma Puranen, photographer and installation artist, and multimedia and working across all kinds of creative media, Tatjanom Trouve for 2022 and this year for 2023. First female mentor artist, she's Franco-Italian, based in Paris and in Italy at the same time, splitting her time between the two. She had a major one-woman show at the Pompidou Center last year, a huge one in the pipeline at the Pinot Foundation. But all of these artists have, their works belong to all the big contemporary art museums, and they have exhibited at the Tate, at the Guggenheim, at the MoMA, at Pompidou Center, etc. They've had extensive exposure. We went from one artist for the pilot year exactly 10 years ago to 4 every year, 5 last year because we had a Ukrainian artist as well, and we might have a 5th one as well this year. But as I said before, and we will be circulated the presentation, so both virtually, you can have a copy, a physical copy of the presentation, but we will also send you the presentation after because you have links to the artists, so it's interesting for you to see the portfolio, and we have videos, etc. So it's quite an interactive presentation. Maybe to just go and explain a bit to you what happened last year to give you a flavor of this year for the year to come. So it was the 10th edition. We changed the location from Luxembourg to Paris. As you said, Paris is a city of light. It's the hotbed of art, was, and it's coming back now more and more. And this is also where the mentor is based. In the past, the mentor was based somewhere else. So it's nice because Tatjanom Trouve teaches at the Beaux-Arts Academy, which is great because the artists can also attend some of her lectures. And it's literally across the street from the residency. It's also a longer residency this year and last year, so it went from 6 to 8 weeks to 3 months. So it really leaves plenty of time for the artists to think and then create and then exhibit and then provide literature, etc. We had a Ukrainian artist on top as part of the EIB's overall Ukraine action. You know, tomorrow we are not celebrating, but we are marking the first anniversary of the Russian invasion, and EIB has been very active in the support to Ukraine, and we were as well by looking after a Ukrainian artist. We have several calls for applications, so these are the ones from last year. I will delve into the ones for this year at a later stage. Going back to Paris, and Paris being the city of light, and you were saying that artists have, there's the cliche of the artist being a solitary person, and thanks to the Cite des Arts, this will not be the case because the artists that will come in Paris in residence will be at the Cite des Arts, which is a marvelous space. You see it at the top. It's a unique, it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It's a place which was created by a couple who created the endowment, and then countries, cities, private and public institutions can actually rent spaces there. At any given time, you have 320 artists in residence, not only in this building, but in all the blocks around it. So you have artist studios, you have also a photography studio, dance studio, a theater, sound for sound performers. You have a place to create pottery, to weld, etc. So you have all the media that potential artists can work on can be actually physically worked on the premises. And it's always a living/working space with the bedroom separate from the working space. It's a real behalf of activity, as I said before, because you have not only performers, dancers, photographers, visual artists, but also curators, musicians, etc. And to the extent that you have every Wednesday night what they call an open studio where the artists can showcase their works. Some of them are curated by internal curators, some of them are external curators, and it's a way for the artists to really mingle and not be left to their own devices with the creative community. All the laureates that we had last year were absolutely delighted with the fact that they were able to meet such a wide variety of creative industry persons. And also you have the press coming on a regular basis, you have collectors' visits, etc. So it really gives them an added clout and added visibility. And we're delighted to announce that the partnership was extended for 2023. To give you a flavor of the artists that we have last time, it's by no way any kind of canon, but just to see the variety of artists that we chose. So Laure Vinance from Belgium last year answered the call for applications that was targeting some countries which are underrepresented in the collection. She's a fascinating artist who works at the boundary of art and science. She works with climate scientists, she works with geographers, with volcanologists, and spent times, actually she was in Iceland last year, And she created a whole body of work with lava, photography work, but lava that she extracted, as well as the leftovers of the glaciers. And she uses the substances in the photography revealing process. You have here the 3 photos that she produced using the lava as the pigment. And these are live, I mean, very, very large photographs that she did only, they are photograms as opposed to photographs. You have also a photo here of one of the open studio evenings where people can come. So she uses her studio, that was her studio. She had a bedroom on top, that was a working space where she was able to curate her own little space, and people were able to see and interact with her. She's currently actually in the Arctic together with a whole a crew of mainly geologists, mineralogists, and climatologists, but she's the only artist accompanying them. We had Liviu Bulea from Romania, first time he ever traveled to Paris. Very interesting practice as well, at the crossroad of art, architecture, and urban planning and urban environment. He walked 20 kilometers every day across Paris, collected items, refused items, took photographs. He's also very interested in brutalist architecture and created a variety of works. And we acquired several works. The photograph is not very good, but we acquired this sort of neon artwork. We acquired also the photograph, the sort of window concealer where he created this sort of still life. And also he had a fascinating interactive project whereby he contacted some of the, actually quite a few people in Serbia answered, artists, fellow artists, together as artists who were staying at the Cite des Arts, and asked them what home was for them. And then he collected poems, photographs, pieces of literature, artworks about home, and his mother made what you see here, which is she hand knit. It's actually the floor of his bedroom, and in black the pieces of furniture. So now he can take his home with him. Well, except that we actually acquired the work. But the idea was really to have some kind of interactive discussion with people on what home means, homecoming, the sense of belonging. And then he did a publication, which we published, which is also becoming an artist book, which is also an evolving book. Another artist, Pauline Rose Dumas, first time we ever had a French person stemming from Paris, but she was delighted to discover the Cité des Arts, because she was able to have a studio, which she doesn't have usually. She's just has come out of the Beaux-Arts Academy in Paris. She is both a welder. She works with a blacksmithing and also a textile, but she refuses to say, you know, it's the dichotomy between the masculinity and femininity. This is exactly what she's fighting against. But all of her installations use blacksmithing and photography. And the Cité des Arts was so delighted about what she produced that they actually dedicated a one-woman show to her at the end of the residency. They have 2 exhibition spaces. So she got an extra exhibition organized by the Cité des Arts at the end of the residency. And these are some of the works that she created and that we acquired, together with some photos of the open studios as well. Elsa Mengali, half Danish, half Italian. She answered a call for application, or, sorry, if I need to go back. She answered a call for application which was called Margins to Center, Periphery to Core, which we had as a one-off, addressing diversity and inclusion. And we were expecting a lot, which we did, get a lot of application about LGBTQ+I movement, which we did, but also quite a few applications about disability. And she decided to work and research that topic, working from her mother who had a brain accident, and now trying to create through her art a sort of catharsis about the broken relationship that she has with her mother, creating this very beautiful work, which is actually, she worked with people with a speech therapist, and what you see here hanging is a very poetic, very refined installation. And it's actually a broken discussion that she has with her mother, symbolized by pieces of ceramics and thread. But there's a whole discussion attached to this work. So very different artwork. You were talking about artists more solitary. She was more of an introvert artist, but also was able to come out of her shelf. She developed a very close relationship with Liviu, and was able to come out of her shelf as well, and be also exposed to other practices when up to now she was cloise, so which is nothing wrong, but more of an introspective artist. And finally, the fifth artist we had in residence is Nikolai Karabinovich from Ukraine, who was quite well established in Odessa before the Russian invasion, and left Odessa actually 2 weeks before, and so did his mother. His mother is actually a famous organist from Odessa, and she, being Jewish, was able to go to a kibbutz in Israel, and has not been in a position to perform because there is no organ where she's based. And he decided that he wanted to use the residency to research and to write the script for a video, which he then went to shoot in Israel, and we produced the video, which is coming out very soon actually. It's in post-production side, of her mother play. It's a beautiful, very evocative piece. Her mother playing in the desert on an invented organ. And then the music is actually the music of the wind of the desert. But it's a very, very powerful video about displacement, about the sense of belonging and losing the sense of being for her. We also acquired some of the works, paper works. He also likes to collect works which have a very strong political undertone, and even more now, although they were created before last year. But you have ways of looking at it, so it's quite interesting as well. So this is just to give you a flavor of the artists we had last year. The year before we had 4 artists. I'm not going to dwell into what they did, but just to say installation performance, Agnieszka Mastalec from Poland, Alexandra Hans, who actually is from Ukraine, but via the Netherlands, who created a stunning work about the invisible army of women working at the Weizmann Institute in Israel on particle accelerator. So this work also carries far more meaning now. Josh Franco from Slovenia, who actually follows the Balkan route for the refugees and is embedded with them. He stays with them month on end, and then not only photographs but interviews them, and is currently creating a video, and it's called Keine Chance, because they were all these migrants that he followed, refugees, were actually reviewed at the Hungarian border. And then Andrei Polukord, who addresses the Anthropocene, and he's based in Lithuania. So just a very few quick success stories before I explain about this year. We believe that we played a very instrumental role in the acceleration of the talent of the artists that came with us. One of the most famous success stories is definitely Cooking Sections, a duo of a German/Israeli artist and a Spanish artist, a duo in life and in practice, who have a very strong, actually, political discourse. It's a research-based practice. And they came to us the year after they won the Pinchuk Prize in Venice, and then they won the prize of the Harvard Graduate School of Design. And 2 years ago, they actually were shortlisted for the Turner Prize, which is the ultimate consecration in the UK for contemporary art. They've had endless exhibitions, including a recent one in Stockholm, and they had a big exhibition in at the Tate. First time they had an exhibition of such young artists. So we were really first to offer them a residency, which led them then to very green pastures. We had, I'm not going to mention all of them, but we had quite a few artists also, and that's quite interesting. When they come in residence, because we organize an exhibition afterwards and a publication, we also have some local art collectors or institutions who then decide to acquire some of the works which are produced. So in the case of Karel Kumpemans from Estonia, he produced a video and some photographs about the migration of workers going to Luxembourg every day and then going back to Germany, France, and Belgium, which is a very strong economic impact on Luxembourg and also on the greater region. He created this work as a one-off, and I said to him, you should actually decide, and we are very happy that it should be an edition, and he was able to straight away sell one of the works to the local museum in Luxembourg, which we were delighted with. Also maybe an interesting Aaron Bizina, who was the youngest to come in residence. He was 21 at that time, going to art school at night and then working in a fast food during the day. And he came to Luxembourg, first time he had ever left Malta. 2 years after, he represented Malta at the Venice Biennale. So a real success for him. And the first time he had been able to really think about his practice, have time to reflect, have time to produce, have time to be mentored, and that led to a real acceleration of his career. So for this year, and this is where you're welcome, if you get the virtual presentation, you can directly link on the call for applications. So we're opening one of the calls for application to candidate countries, so including Serbia. We will select one laureate. We hope to get plenty. But do not be deterred by the fact that we only select one person, because when I review all the applications, I then draw a list of interesting applications which I then pass on to other institutions. So the idea is also to give a second lease of life to interesting applications, and I go out of my way to do so. So your applications, if they're well presented, will be seen by other people. We will ask for you to give the okay for us to pass it on for GDPR reasons, but we will pass on your applications to people that we think might be interested in you. These are the deadlines. So we launched it officially on the 23rd of January. We publish a special call for applications on eFlux, which goes to 120,000 contacts all over the world for the candidate countries' call for applications. The application deadline is the 31st of March, but I would strongly advise you to apply before. The earlier you apply, the more time I have to spend to look at your application, and also because at the end, people tend to get very flustered. So I think you have plenty of time to really think about your application and send it on. I will then produce a long list of about 40 candidacy, and then we will have a physical jury deliberation on the 23rd of May. And the jury is presided by Tatjanom Trouve, the mentor, and I. We have 2 museum directors, and we have members of our arts committee as well. So they will all review the 40 applications, and then we will decide on the 4 recipients. The residency will take place in Paris from the 4th of September to the 27th of November, but we will get in touch long before with the laureates because we want to help them prepare, receive, maybe already start talking about production issues or production, sometimes works are difficult to produce, so we need to prepare to do the pre-prod beforehand, etc. So please, by all means, ask me if you have any questions, and I think you will be sending the EU House, yes, we'll be sending on this presentation, so it's a way for you also to be able to dwell into more interactive content should you be inclined to do so. So thank you very much. So if you have any questions, please feel free. Otherwise, you can always send them to me by email.
Now is better. Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Nevena Ivanović, fashion designer, and I'm here because I've heard about this amazing opportunity, and thank you for giving it to us. I already participated in some of EU projects and other interesting campaigns. Past year I was participating in the EU campaign Europeans Making a Difference, representing Serbia there, and that's how I got into all of this and how I found out about this opportunity also. As I'm a fashion designer and I'm interested in this kind of residency projects, I was wondering, as my work is pretty much physical and it requires special equipment and materials and stuff like that, is this suitable for a person like me to work on some sort of a small collection or a concept that will be presented through, for example, videos and photographs and everything? How much actually we can cooperate with other artists there, or should we do our own project, doing it just by ourselves? As I saw, the other artists had some co-workers, but I don't. Okay.
Sometimes you have duos. If you have a duo, you can apply as a duo.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, but I thought that they're probably participating with other people from maybe from residency or something like that. They can cooperate on some projects or something like that.
This is absolutely yes, feasible. We haven't had fashion designers so far, but we've had quite a few artists working with textile. So actually working with textile is what you're doing.
Yeah.
We are open to any kind of creative output, whatever the media, i.e. textile is one of the medium.
Yeah,
and one of the media, sorry. And the way we help with the production, so something I didn't mention, but so basically what we do is that when the artists come, well, of course we pay, we cover the travels. Then we provide them with the artist / working, with the living / working space. They have a per diem of 80 euros a day. And then at the beginning of the residency, we also give 500 euros just to get settled and also maybe to acquire some of the works needed for the production. At the end of a residency, we give another 1,000 euros as a success fee provided an artwork has been produced. And then we acquire the works on top and we pay for the acquisition. So we really look after the production, and we also help facilitate meetings, whether it would be in the fashion world or whether in the textile work, etc. So we have a long list of contacts, and so does the Cite des Arts. So a few of the artists we had, for instance, quite a few have what we call research-based practice. So one of them, for instance, Elsa, needed to have access to the medical profession. So I put her in touch with a neurologist, a language therapist, etc. So we go out of our way to provide the artists with a contact list of people that they can work with. But we want the artist, whatever the medium is, to be the author of the artwork.
Yeah, of course. I am always the author of my work,
yeah.
But I work with a bigger team, so it's very, for 3 months, it's not that possible to develop something huge. It's possible to build a good concept, to build some prototypes and everything, yeah. But when it comes to real production, you actually need a bit bigger team.
Yeah,
and those were actually my questions. And the last one is about when we finish the residency, should we have like totally finished project, or it could be something that we can finish after we
Well, we want to showcase produced works. So in your case, it might be a prototype or whatever, but or some prototypes. But we want the artists to have produced physical artworks.
Yeah, okay.
Because the idea is that we organize an event, and then we organize also an exhibition. So we want the artist to be able to present his, her, or their works to an audience. So there needs to be some physical works being produced, and also because we want to acquire some of the works, not all of them, if it's a plethora of works, but we will, unless, I mean, it's happened only once out of 34 artists where we didn't acquire work because it was not proper, but otherwise we tend to acquire the artworks to join the collection, which also is something I was alluding to. which is very interesting because once the artwork join our collection, I curate exhibitions across Europe of our collection, and then I go out of my way to showcase the works produced by the artists in residence alongside very established artists. And you have a green catalog here, which is the latest exhibition, which was organized in the former framework of Limerick bidding for being the city of culture, like Novi Sad is, and Luxembourg actually was last year. So it's a way passing on the baton in a way. But the idea is really to showcase the works, to give them as much visibility as possible. So hanging in our offices, premises, but also on loan to museums if there's a request to do so, and also hanging side by side with very established artists.
Thank you so much for your answers.
Yes, we're very close.
Okay. I'm a student of painting at the Faculty of Contemporary Arts, and as I was listening to your presentation carefully, I was just wondering if it's available for students to apply for this kind of program, or is it necessary to be finished with a bachelor degree?
Absolutely not. You're welcome to apply.
Okay.
And Aaron Bizina, who was the youngest ever to apply and to come, was 21 when he came, and he was very much a student at that point.
Okay, and also as I studied painting, we still do these traditional materials, so I was wondering if it's popular, but then you answered the previous question and you also answered my question.
Painting is absolutely. We've had, out of the 34, 2 artists doing painting as opposed to installations, etc. And of course. And we had, as I said, Calumines as a mentor who is a painter. Okay. And we welcome all media.
Thank you.
What is important for you is really to work on your portfolio, the way you present your work. 8 pages maximum, because sometimes we get 50 pages, it's not worth it. It's also for the artist a way to screen, pre-select, but also exercise a critical eye on his or her practice. And 8 pages, you have plenty of space to fill, and really maybe explaining. I think a lot of attention should be spent on the portfolio, as well as the motivation letter. But it's important to really, for an artist, exercise a critical eye on what you've been doing and maybe where you're leaning towards or what you would like to spend more time doing. This is important.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I don't have questions now, but probably I will come to some more after a while.
I think there's one behind you.
Okay. It's working, yeah. I'm Daniel, and I just have to be sure and to ask you again. You are picking one artist from each country,
no,
or you are picking one artist from all of the countries?
From all the countries.
Okay.
Yeah, but that should not, as I said, that should not be a deterrent. Really not.
Well, yes,
because,
but
yeah, I mean, no, because we will give a second lease of life to the good applications. We will.
Okay, that would be all. I just wanted to be sure before I do any further steps. Thank you.
100% of the people who win have tried. This is the French.
That's true. Thank you.
And every application is the same. I mean, every residency, you have a lot of applications. Huh? It's always the case. So it's really a question of standing out both in your application letter, in your motivation letter, and in the portfolio you present.
I'm finished if someone else wants to ask something. Yep.
I'm Marco. I want to ask also if you're sort of a multidisciplinary artist, doing perhaps some design work and also fine art, stuff. Is it when applying? Would you sort of curate your own portfolio towards like a specific strain which you would want to pursue, or would it be like?
No, I think if you're multidisciplinary and your practice is around various disciplines, I would try to find maybe one of each medium that you try to investigate, and maybe say what is your preferred medium or what you would like to do during the residency. For this call for application, we are not asking you necessarily to articulate what you want to do, but I think it always helps if we know that the person has a plan of something that they want to spend time dwelling on. So I would not reduce your portfolio to one if you are a multidisciplinary artist.
Totally. Thank you.
Hello. One question coming from his question. So basically, this year is the first time we open up the possibility to one candidate out of the enlargement countries, as we call it, to be chosen. But there are still other thematic.
Yes.
Can these people also apply to those, or
no,
so
not
in reality, the chances could be higher, if you have a thematic rather.
You're right.
So actually, they are giving you an extra chance. So you can be picked just out of your nationality, but you can still apply for other thematic opportunities of I don't know if you get the point.
No, you're right. It's a very good spin, actually. Yes, because we have this call for application for enlargement countries. So it means that we will take someone from one of these 8 countries, which is not necessarily the case for the other 2 call for applications. So do not try it. Give it a go. We can hear you, otherwise it's fine. It's okay, we can hear you.
Hello. My name is Anna. I saw during the presentation there is a call for enlargement countries, but there is also a thematic call and a geographical call. Is there any difference between geographical call and the enlargement countries call, or is it the same? Or
so usually we have 2 thematic calls and 1 call what we call geographic, where we target countries which are underrepresented in the collection. This year we have the geographic call for some of the countries, and it's a rotation, underrepresented in the collection, EU member states. We have the disruption call for application, so it's all about the Anthropocene, which we've had for the past 7 years. And then we have the EU enlargement call.
Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you all for coming today. A little bit disappointed that definitely try and apply. Maybe one is among you. Thank you for presenting the opportunity. Thank you both for being here with us today. And yeah, we hope to see your applications. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.